Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and today I get to sit with one of my oldest friends in the industry, certainly one that I admire, who also has a podcast of his own. Today we're talking to Robert Lawrence Hughes. And a little backstory, and I wish Tony was here to kind of like back it up, but we've known Rob for about 20 years, and a few years ago he started a podcast, which I think is fascinating. First off, I'm a big fan of podcasting, and I'm a big fan of podcasters, and we certainly like to help out, certainly with podcast as often as we can. So Robert's coming in, and then he brought on a guest as well. So I'm excited to talk to both him and his guest today. But Rob, buddy, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Corey? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty amazing, man. I'm happy for the guest that you came in. But anybody that's listening, a little backstory, or not backstory, but a little whatever, is that Robert is going to release this podcast on his network, and we're going to release it certainly on our network, and that's why you're listening in. But Robert, give us the 2 second, or give us the elevator pitch of Hairdresser Strong.
So the Hairdresser Strong Show started off as an attempt to bridge the expectation gap between salon owners and rising stylists and cosmetology students, and we've continued with that as our core, with an evolution to becoming the place where you can learn how people achieve success in various forms. So whether it's a salon owner, a suite renter, a product line, a tool line, an app, a conference, or whatever. We've interviewed somebody who's done it, multiple people who have done it, and so you can go and check that out. If that's something you want to do, then we hope that you can start your journey off with us at the Hairdresser Strong Show.
Well, dude, I love that. I love what you're up to, and I love the conversations that you've had. And it's just really neat. I mean, as a friend, and then and to kind of watch that you've lived in this space. And it's funny because with a lot of podcasts, and I'm sure you see this, like there's so many podcasts that are started, but very few that are ended. So it's always neat to kind of see, like, you're in the grind of the podcast as well, because it's been a few years, yeah.
Yeah, we I was just looking. We have closing in on 250 interviews, and in January will be 4 years since we started. So yeah, and then a big, like, thanks to you for helping us out along the way. It's been a big help. I recommend everybody out there, if you want success, find community, because that is really is the answer, I believe.
I believe that as well. I was actually watching. I saw like I think it was a TikTok or maybe not TikTok for long, but it's either a TikTok or a an Instagram meme today. But it was this company that started, Rob. I'll have to send it to you, but their community first, community before commerce is kind of their tag. And what it is it's like this. They call it a third place. So it's not your workspace, it's not your home, but it's a third place where you can kind of, like, there's some run clubs that are doing it. There's some coffee houses that are doing it. It's kind of, to me, as I was watching, it's kind of the old bookstore like model. It's like place where people can gather. But more than a bookstore, it's more community based as opposed to just going and hanging out, or a library kind of thing. But I kind of remember, pre Amazon, where you would just go to a bookstore and you would have meetings there, hang out with your friends and stuff. And again, community before commerce. I found it very interesting. I don't know how it works for us, even if it's supposed to work for us. But it was interesting. And when I saw it this morning, I go, I bet you Rob would be interested in this.
Yeah, I love that. That sounds so good. Yeah, we love to get people together in person, and I don't know, I feel like that's kind of a great segue into introducing our guest.
Well, I think, well, certainly us at Hairdresser, you guys over at Hairdresser Strong, and our guests today, we've all done in-person events, and that'll be an interesting conversation. Let's get in.
Yeah, so today we have Deborah Neill Baker, who's a 47-year industry veteran. She started off an esthetician and got into sales, and now she is a principal and the chief energy officer at Neal Corporation, where they do a number of things. The one thing that I'm excited that's coming up is the serious business. We were there last year. It was super awesome. So I'm super excited to see, and very inspirational. So I'm super excited to have Deborah the chance to talk to you today. And so very excited.
I'm very happy to be here with you guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, man. Well, I think this is a proper time to give a big shout out to Gordon Miller because he kind of put us all together.
Absolutely.
And what a great advocate for the entire industry. I just love Gordon so much. He has so much to offer, and every day is offering something. Like I don't even know how he keeps up with the content that he's putting out. He's just amazing. I get his newsletter every Monday, and literally it's the one piece of email that I'm happy to get, so I can kind of like browse through and see what his thinking is. So Robbie brought up Serious Business. How long has that been? First off, tell us a little bit about Serious Business and how long has it been around?
This will be our 26th year
Wow.
in January.
Nice.
It was really, it's a conference, a gathering, a symposium. I don't know. We started out, it was developed as a result of thinking about, we had always done a lot of hair shows and lots of education, lots of technical education. And we thought, really what we thought we needed, as well as the industry, the salon owners and professionals, we needed more business acumen. And instead of just listening to ourselves, we designed an event where we brought in a lot of speakers, authors, teachers from outside of our industry, along with industry people. So it was really the brainchild of my late husband, Edwin. And it's funny, he was part of the Salon Association. This is like going way back, right? You guys are even too young to remember any of this. And they had an event, and it was very popular with a certain group of people, and then they shut it down. And Edwin was like, okay, so we've been doing it for 26 years, and it's intended to expose, evoke, and evolve our thinking. That's our mantra, tagline. And also it's a neutral. That's the other thing that we're committed to, is that, because so often we get stuck in our, it's kind of an example with you guys and me. I've not really met you before. I mean, and it's because we get the blinders on, and we're in our, manufacturer, brand, all of that. And we decided this was going to be nothing about product, it was all about development, leadership development, and business development. So that's how it came about.
It's pretty amazing to kind of be able to work outside of I don't know, the brands, like we certainly are in that, within our event space stuff. We're working with the brands, but it's interesting that you've been able to kind of create that. Have you seen a difference in the last, you said 26 years, 27 years? Have you seen a difference in how people are attending events, or has there been any differences or in that time? And I mean industry wide, not just like how the event has evolved, but have you seen stuff about just
Gordon and I talked about that on a podcast I do with him about events. And there's lots of options now. And we were really talking about that the intention of the event, whatever the intention of the event, whether it's, true technical education or business development, whatever, is that the intention of the event and the intention of the person choosing what events they're going to go to. I really do have always, Serious Business has always been one of those where it started out as primarily salon owners and managers. But then what happened is we noticed that the salon owners and managers would go back to the salons, and it's hard to, regurgitate all of that information and all that inspiration and ideas and thinking. So they started bringing more of their staff, encouraging more of their staff to come. So, it's a mix, but it's certainly for us, and that, kind of a conference has become more of and it's also kind of a training ground for the salon owners and managers will bring their leadership, and it goes back to what you guys were talking about earlier about community. You can't do it by yourself, you know. So that's what I've noticed with our event. And hair shows, like real hair shows, that you know, that kind of has waned, I think, from my observation. Like, I mean, we're connected with Aveda, and they have Congress, which is a huge hair show, but they only do it every other year because, you know, so I don't know. I mean, you tell me, you're probably, what do you see happening
Well,
with
I have a
events?
question on that. Corey, what do you think in Premiere? You've been going every year for a while. Have you seen big events attendance go down, or is it been?
I don't know, because first off, let's be clear, like, like pre-pandemic event space and post-pandemic are just different spaces. Now, and with that, there was like 2 or 3 super light years, both at Premiere and at ABS. But I have noticed like the last 2 years that, it seems like attendance is back. I remember two ABSs ago, it was a Monday morning, and coincidentally, ironically, whatever, I'm sitting on the main floor there with Gordon Miller, and on Monday morning, we both commented that, oh my gosh, this feels like Saturday. It feels like the big events are back. Now that could also, that could be polluted as well, considering the 2 years before that, that same hallway was empty. So to see anybody could feel like a big show or not. And I just trust in those. But even Rob, even with those big shows, I think they're really good for what they are. But they are the brand side of our industry, and I think we can all agree that we need the brand side of our industry. Do I find that it's a great place to learn? No. I think that it's even though there's some great classrooms set up there. I know when I walk the show floor, when I get off the show floor, it takes me a good 30 or 40 minutes to kind of like settle in. So even if I'm sitting in a class, that's 45 minutes long, it could be 30 minutes before I'm actually settled in my seat, to be able to be in a space to learn. I don't know if it's ADD or any acronym that you want to put on it, but I just know that's my experience. And certainly our event space, and yours, Robbie, is different than that. Our event space is we jump in with kind of the learn, and I know that your space is more conference style, but I'd even like to get into that. I mean, I think that there's so many different styles, and I love the idea of conference styles. It's not what I do, but I love attending those. Even when we were in Robbie, even when we were in Chicago, like that was like more conference kind of style with some real wins in there. But what are you thinking, Rob?
Well, I guess I just have another question. Just to curiosity, make sure I'm talking about this and have all the information. Deborah, what does Neal do other events? Can you just tell us a little, like a elevator pitch on what exactly all that Neal is involved in and does?
Well, it's it would be the longest elevator pitch because we've been around for over 75 years. We're a third generation family business. So we've been in the industry, it's over 75 years. So and what we offer, I mean, we've been through all kinds of, we were we started out as like stores. We had stores that hairdressers went and bought, and then we did a major shift and we did multi-line distribution. We were the first ones to decide to be what they call a concept distributor and just have one line. But we've always done lots of education, no matter who we were connected to. I mean, and it's so funny to even say, we were Redken's first $1 million distributor, like 45 years ago. I
Wow.
mean, but so, education has always been at the core of what we're about. And of course, it was technical education, hair shows, and we still do. We don't produce hair shows like we did as often. We just don't. We're a little more focused on real, you know, hands-on education and but we do, I mean, we do it all. I don't know. This last year, we did hundreds of events, everything from in salon to small gatherings. I mean, it's, and we do Elevate too. I mean, I don't know if and Elevate is kind of it's a hair gathering, it's a hair jam. And it again is neutral. It's not, I mean, it's really a Tatum, my stepson, is the only hairdresser in the family. And it's his baby. And
Okay, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. We got to do that again. So Tatum's your stepson?
yeah.
That's fascinating to me. No, I've known Tatum for years. I mean,
Well,
you know,
there you go. There you go.
I
Yeah.
think we met in 2018. I didn't really. Whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Tatum's my stepson. And he, like I said, we and my late husband, Michael Baker, was a hairdresser for all of his life. And we really kind of talked Tatum into becoming a hairdresser.
Oh,
And it at first he was like, okay, I'll go give it a shot. And and he ended up in New York at the Aveda Institute, and then went to work for um oh gosh, I just had a
his events are really cool though. Like,
oh his
kind
yeah,
of like it
he's
is a jam.
it's a jam. It's music. It's really no talking, which yeah, they're just up there jamming, and it's hairdressers from every segment, every brand. It doesn't matter, and they all come together. And yeah, Tatum has done a really so really for us, Serious Business and Elevate are our two completely neutral events.
And when you
Where
say neutral, you're saying without brands, or what do you mean by
no
neutral?
brands, no brands.
Yeah,
I mean, we
that's
gotta, and in the beginning that was hard to do because our brand relationships were like, you know,
there you
felt
go.
like we should have them there. And we're like, no, this is a different, we're doing this differently. We want everybody to come together.
So from the event space, so like all your costs are covered by the ticket sales. Is that that's the only like thing that you're selling?
We have a small, I say small, a small exhibit area because when you're talking about these big shows like Premiere, those are kind of almost like shopping events.
A mall.
Yeah, right. And so we don't really have that. But the people that are the vendors that are in the exhibit area are more business oriented, like software, and it's not shampoo, and it's not that group of. So it's more business resources. So, but yeah, our ticket sales. That's right. We, definitely have done this just it's a gift, but it's a gift to us too, because we create something that we all need. I mean, we have about 800 employees at Neal Corporation, and we own 18 Aveda Institutes, and we have our own corporate salons in and around New Orleans. So we've been all in, and for our life, for our entire life cycle. So
have you noticed I'm getting to interview Steve Reese from Pivot Point, and I know Corey interviewed him, and they were talking. There's this research that they have about events. Have you had a chance? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
I've heard of, I don't know anything about it. So please tell me.
Okay, well, I'll just share. I mean, and Corey will probably have more, but the piece that's just sticking into my head right now is well, there's two pieces. The expectation of higher value from attendees is was one of the things that stuck out. Like they want a lot for little, or they want more for what they historically paid for. That's kind of what how I got it. Uh, and then the other one was that people are looking for things that are local or closer, or they don't want to travel as much. And I don't know, have you seen anything? I mean, the event that we host is a local event. We don't fly people in. We work with the DMV people in the DMV. There's so much incredible talent here, so we just kind of do something for the local industry. But I like love serious business. Like I'll be going every year. Like I went one year and I want to go every single year. So I feel like that is a little bit of maybe and there's nothing else quite like it. But nonetheless, that research, have you seen anything, any of that impacting what you're doing? Or in any of the events, I guess, that
Well,
you're
I
doing?
mean, we do lots of local, events, and most of those are technical events, technical training. But with serious business, where our attendees, it hasn't really grown that much in numbers. It ends up being, I think the highest attended year we had like 1,800, which was, but we really always kind of are around 1,200 people. And it kind of stays in that spot. But I think that, again, it goes back to the intention. I think that people that come to that kind of event are very intentional about what they're coming for, and the value. And maybe there's less expectation around some of these huge events like Premiere. They're going for, it's kind of an experience, like I don't know, it's very, very different. But I have noticed that I mean, our attendance hasn't really grown a lot, but it stays right kind of where it is. And it's, for me, for what we're doing, I think that 1,200, 1,500 people is enough.
Is enough.
That's a
I
lot.
think it's enough. I think it's enough. Now, my stepson who runs the company, he might disagree with me, but there's something about that number of people. We do it in a theater. The general session is all in a theater, which is a different experience. And then we do breakout. So I think that it's kind of like when a salon expands, sometimes they lose a little bit of their, so I'd like to keep it kind of where it is, because we don't, listen, I'll be completely honest, we don't do it to make money. In fact, we don't usually see a profit. We do it as, if we break even, that's, because we're really doing it for a different intention, a different reason,
That makes sense to me. That makes complete sense to me. So, with that, can you actually, since I'm the only one that hasn't been to serious business, can you kind of break down like what it is? Like if I'm attending, like what, because I'm coming next year. So what's my expectation? What am I going to see? And Rob, if you want to jump in here as well, by all means, but I give the floor to you, Deb.
Okay. Well, first of all, I have a thing about expectation. I would advise you to let go of expectations and come with an open mind and open heart, and get into I mean, of course, that's my philosophy about life, basically. Do you know that unfulfilled expectation causes more stress on humans and upset than really anything else? So we walk around with all these expectations. But serious business is, like I said earlier, we bring, and it's all about personal development leading to business development. And there's business development addressed there too. But we've always had a philosophy that all business development is sourced in personal development, which is also leadership development. And it's really, I think that now that there's so much awareness about mental health, well, we've always been highly aware of the value of working, we call it working on yourself. I mean, if you can't lead your own life, it's kind of hard to lead a business and lead other people. So, what you'll find at Serious Business is a mix of speakers in general session. We try to cover the whole person, everything from, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. I mean, the whole gambit. And that's where we bring in a lot of outside speakers. I mean, we've had like Brene Brown and we've had so many. Mel Robbins we had her a few years ago. We've always kind of had a lot of energy around trying to find people that they're on their way, but they haven't quite gotten there. So they're really open. And like when we had Mel Robbins, she was just starting out as a speaker. And so we, I always laugh. We try to get them before they're $80,000.
Of course. That's really cool. It's cool for two reasons. A, that well, I have two comments. I guess not too cool for it's cool that you're looking outside of the industry. I think so often, so many times, and I'm a bazillion% guilty of it. Like we look inside of the industry, but there's just it's very interesting to me, and I would love to get your perspective and Rob's perspective about it. That like we have a hard time looking outside of the industry, or that we believe that the hair business is a different type of business than just business. Like we like to we like to pretend like this is different. The business side of our industry is different than any other business.
It's a little bit different, don't you think?
I mean, I think no. Well, no, I'm
No, I
talking
mean,
about.
it's unique. I call it special. I call it special because
No.
yes,
Don't get me wrong, but spreadsheets work the way the spreadsheets work.
right.
So that part of the business is the business. We are unique in the social aspect. We are unique in the community aspect. We are unique we have the opportunity. It's not even about being unique. We have the opportunity to affect community. We have the opportunity to affect a lot. However, what I'm talking about is specifically what your software is telling you. But we like to pretend like it's something different. I mean, even before we got on, we talked a little bit about hustle culture and really like, and I'll put my 2 cents in it when it comes to that, is that I'm just fearful that those that aren't willing to hustle are going to get walked over by those that want to hustle. I just think that that's like a basic, it's just a basic business thing. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be toxic to you. I think that the mental health side of it, if it's not serving you, then, just have a different conversation with you. But I think just to put like a stamp on hustle culture sucks or hustle culture isn't it. I mean, hustle culture might not be for you, and that's fine, but just understand that it's a different game.
And you're probably gonna have a different outcome.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that's it, and I'm fair for those that are doubling down on lack of hustle culture may get left behind. But anyways, aside from those 2 cents, again, I think it's neat that you're bringing outside people in, and that business is business when it comes to a spreadsheet.
Yeah, well, business is business, and it's really isn't business really just a bunch of people coming together? So, I mean, that's why at source, we think that the well-being, the evolution of the individual salon owner and manager, those are key to having the business results that you're talking about. Without that, you're not going to have very great data, So I always say if you can't lead your own life, you're going to have a challenge, having others, follow you and listen. So and at Serious Business, we do have business. The breakouts, main stage is kind of the why and the what if. And then the breakouts are more the what and the how. So they go deeper into the breakouts. And oftentimes, like this year, we have a lot of the main stage speakers are then also doing breakouts. So they, take a higher level look at what their ideas are on main stage, and then they go deeper in the breakouts. But people always, I mean, if people walk away with the feeling and thinking that they can do it, that's always been kind of a, yeah, I can do this. But you know, that's always been kind of that's what we want to create. People realizing that they can do it and are inspired to do it.
Yeah, I was I was thinking like between the two of you, what y'all are both talking about, the thought that comes to my mind is we go into the schools, now we're going into the high school cosmetology programs and talking to the students about we don't actually talk to them about the craft at all. We talk to them about the fact that the first like even it doesn't like if you're getting into this industry then and you're going to be working behind the chair, it's important that you understand some basic level of business and some basic level of money and finance. It could be very low level, but you have to have it. And our school system does not deliver that type of information. Like I think that everybody should know what compound interest is, cash flow, opportunity cost. I think that if you don't understand what the importance of a 6 month or 3 month or whatever emergency fund, etc. And so like even at the most basic level, but like we tell the students like it does even you want to go into business early on, straight out of school, or as soon as possible. And we tell them that the first business they're building, they are going straight into business, even when they go and work for somebody else, because the first business they're building is their book of business. And in order to build your book of business, you have to have basic business understanding. You have to have etiquette understanding, customer service, what are the new trends in consumer behavior, etc. And I would say like, that's one of the things that I liked about Serious Business is I felt like you were getting some and some of it might be more advanced than for like your rising stylist, not if they're part of a company that the owner is going to serious business. So like seeing some people together that of different ranges within the same
Yeah.
salon was really cool because that's what we try to do with everything that we do is make good on the business finance money financial literacy, financial education, but also just how do you be successful in this industry. And I think I love the idea of keeping the mental health aspect kind of always there because it wasn't hasn't always been there. And I would say that 26 years ago is a little ahead of the time because I think it took COVID for us all
For a
to
lot, yeah.
attach the mental health piece to everything now because it's like we all have kind of woken up to the fact that that's a huge piece. And I think that's where the hustle culture gets a bad rap is because I think it's attached to burnout. And so I think it's time to just
Well,
redefine.
there you go. I like that, Robert. I think that we should, you know, words have energy. They have vibration. Maybe we should there instead of calling it hustle, which has this, we should call it something else. You know.
I thought you were going to come with like what we should call it now.
What?
I thought you were going to come with like we should be calling it, but you left us out to dry there, Deb.
Yes, sorry about that.
No
But
worries.
just talking about, I know that people, there's a charge on, I don't want to be part of that hustle culture.
Right.
But like we said earlier, when you're with mental health, part of mental health is you've got to get yourself into action. And, you know, you can call it hustle if you want to, but it's it's really
I was talking to Ambrosia. If you don't know Ambrosia, she's a great follower. She has a podcast, Ambrosia Carey. And we were chatting about it, and she said, "I'm no longer using balance. I'm not looking for work-life balance. What I'm looking for is work-life harmony." And I thought that just kind of switched everything. On like when I go, "Oh, you know what? That makes more sense." It's like, how do we make this work, and how do we make it I'll use the word serve again, but how do we make both of them serve me? So again, I give you permission that if you're against hustle culture, find some kind of harmony. What is going to serve you, or how is it going to serve you? And if it's not serving you, then it's not for you, and that's fine too.
Yeah, well, I always think balance is bullshit, but
I think we just got the title of the podcast.
I mean, it's really, balance is like this, right? So it's never a steady state. It can never be, it's never equal. So,
I thank you so much. Like I go to the salon to work a day behind the chair. My day is way out of balance that day. And then I go into this, and then I go and I'm working in the office on our startup, making no money, but I'm like putting in some of these hours, and then it's like, okay, well that's not balance there either, you know? It's kind of like the concept of multitasking. I heard my wife told me that she was in some sort of like she was listening to someone talk about it, and she said they were saying that there's no such thing as multitasking. You can't multitask. If when you multitask, you're just giving more energy. You're never giving the same amount of energy to anything, and it's called task flipping. The ability to jump between tasks is the actual power that we call multitasking, but we need to stop calling it multitasking. And I kind of like that's the vibe I'm getting from here as well.
no, it's funny. There's a book that from, I don't know, probably 30 years ago. It's called Power versus Force. It's an old book, and it actually measures, they've measured the vibration of words. It's very interesting. I'm a word person. I love to, there's a thought that all learning is in making distinctions. So I always like to make all these distinctions with words, and I like, okay, well, and I get really tired. I get bored with using the same language. I'm currently bored with even culture. I mean, wait, I get bored. I've gotten bored of purpose, passion. I mean, look, it's all I'm not saying, it's so
you're wordsmithing. Like we need a different word for this.
just,
It's just wordsmithing. I totally get that. Well, I'm going to pre-apologize because my vocabulary is about 100 words. So we've probably gotten to our limit. So now it's just like more words that the more of the same words that's going around and around and around.
funny.
Yeah, this is an interesting conversation, by itself. I think, just how we position ourselves as an industry. I also kind of want to, Robbie, you brought up a great point that I don't think we talk enough about, and certainly like young hairstylists don't talk enough about. And this, and back to your point earlier too, Deb, is that we are a different industry because even though you're a W-2 employee, you're still building a business. And I think that we need to be responsible for that. Like that. And by the way, what a unique situation that we've all been in the industry, that you have a 4 foot by 4 foot box that is your business, that you get to make mistakes in when it comes to your business. You get to learn stuff in your business without it costing you really anything. And the salon or the salon owner's responsibility is to help you through that, is to guide you through where the mistakes were made. I think that I've said it on the podcast, and I think serious business might be the solution to this, is that I think one of the biggest, this is not everybody, but I think we've all seen it, is that I think one of the biggest holdbacks for us as an industry is that we're hairstylists that want to open a salon, where we need to be leaders that want to open a salon. And I think that we're always about a decade behind leadership skills before we are salon ownership skills. And I think I think if we could, I think not every, let me back up. Lots of toxic situations within a salon end when you want to be a leader in a salon and not be a hairstylist that owns a salon.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because the most successful salon owners are usually damn good leaders.
I think that's it. I mean, your business is determined about,
Yeah.
how long people stay with you or how, how you're building your business. I don't know. I just, again, when you hear so many, and by the way, I've been incredibly fortunate because I've always had great leaders in my industry path. I remember, Robert, you'll relate to this because we worked at the salon together. But like when Tabitha's takeover came on, like everything that she was teaching was just status quo for us. Like I didn't like I'm watching the show and I'm like, what do you mean? Like I didn't realize because I was a young stylist and stuff. I didn't realize that that was unique. Those
Yeah.
tech, those
Well,
tech.
you put yourself, I mean, you put yourself in the right situations. So it's really your ability to make good decisions,
Well,
which
I
is
don't know about that. I
another,
think I was just
which is
really
a
lucky.
whole other conversation, right? Because,
Well,
the quality of our business and life is really about the quality of our decisions.
Deborah, do you know Reg Laws?
I don't.
He's a local salon owner here in DC, and he had, I mean, at one point I think he had like 15 or 16 salons, but Robbie and I both came up in that world, and
There
and
you go.
and I'm super grateful to him for that because again, uh,
It's usually,
the best example that I can get is watching Tabitha's takeover, and everything that she was teaching was just status quo for us. Like I didn't realize that there was other salons that weren't doing that kind of stuff. Robbie?
Well, this is a conversation that brushes up against something that Sammy and I are working on right now, and um, because okay, so I have worked at great salons with great owners, and I'm now managing a salon. And we came from a salon that we found out that they were shaving a fraction of a percent off of our income for every couple years, and like we could discuss responsibility, but the important thing is that we realized that we could not trust. And our owner. And I worked at other salons where I saw people get kicked out, their stuff thrown out, and the doors locked, and said, like in front of the clients and stuff. So like I've had quite the spectrum of experiences. And when we think about and I'm sorry I feel like I'm kind of taking us on a little bit of a turn, but
Oh,
like
let's go. I'm excited.
I love to go down rabbit holes.
okay,
Go.
this
Oh man.
current this topic is like I have a theory that the toxicity it has, historically prior to social media, it was like we were kind of all siloed off. We didn't really understand the opportunities and all the other players in the game very well because it was really like a who do you know kind of thing. And then like Google had Google Maps and was listing businesses, and then like we could like look and see what other players are on there, but we had no insight into what was going on. And so we're picking places based off of what either someone says. And if you need to switch salons, how much time are you taking to look at all the salons that you see, or you jump and ship and going into another ship and hoping that it's going to be good? But like no, historically, I haven't seen it to be a typical behavior of a hairdresser to go and like vet the salons before they go and work for them. I feel like that is kind of what we were talking about. That was what I felt like part of what we were talking about. And then I went straight to the students in school, and then it's like thinking about like how are they going to have success? Yes, they need to be educated, but the reality is like they think they know what they're getting into, and they walk and then they go and then they're but it's the same thing. It's like now that we have all this information, we're making these decisions for where we're going to go work based off of who has the coolest social media, which does not translate into a good leadership, a good boss, a strong culture, mentorship, training that is actually training. Like the amount of students that have called me crying saying like, oh my gosh, they said they'd train me and I'd be on the floor in 3 months, but 3 months went by. I haven't had one class. And the owner told me, I've been teaching you this whole time. Aren't you watching? You know what I mean? So like,
Got to go below the surface.
who's
And
below
social
services?
media is really the
Oh
surface. And
yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with it. It's just you got to go below the surface if you and making decisions like that. So
Yeah, sorry, I just
but then it goes down to it's like that um the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your decisions, and then what determines the quality of your decisions? it's the quality of your thinking. So the thinking is what we have always been the most like obsessed with.
Mm.
My late husband was so obsessed that, I mean, we did a critical thinking. We went out to California twice a year for 7 years to be part of a critical thinking group. And this was 30 years ago. So we've always been all about, how do we evolve our thinking? And, we worked on our values. We did values work 40 years ago. And before, we were basically just to give you an example of why we are the way we are today or who we are as Neal. My late husband was really an old hippie. And I was one of those in between generations where I wanted to be a hippie, but I was too young. I came along too late. So we were what we called workshop junkies. We went to and they called it self-help. We went to every personal development thing we just started bringing it back to the company. So, it goes back to the leadership and being, and we felt responsible for the people that worked with us.
Do you
Yeah.
find, I mean, speaking from my experience is that, my thinking didn't get better. I think thinking is directly related to age, and certainly, being a male, until I was 25 or 26,
And you guys are you're a little slower to
oh
learn.
yeah, no, yeah. I don't think there's any doubt in that. But till 25 or 26, like we're like all like fired up and until our testosterone starts to drop a little bit, like there is no thinking, or not the right kind of thinking, so until like that kind of it slows down. But it was really for me, it was almost like until my late 30s and or early 40s where I started to realize how this is such a weird use of words, but I'll give it to you. Thank you, Deborah. Is that how important my own critical thing, meaning being critical of myself thinking is, where I was so scared to be critical of myself because, of all my other insecurities, but I had to drop some of those insecurities before I could really think clearly. Now, sobriety and all that stuff helps too. However, that's kind of where everything started to slow down for me. And I could actually start to witness my life from an outsider as opposed to an insider, so I'm curious. Well, I don't know. Let's hash that out. Rob, you've got the floor.
Uh, Insider versus that. Sorry, I was
Yeah. I
my
was saying,
mind was
I
running
was saying,
all over the place with
yeah.
everything I
I
was
was
thinking
saying that
about.
it took me till like almost my 40s to become an outside observer of my life as opposed to
Okay.
an internal observer of my life. And for me, the internal one is where a lot of my insecurities lived. It was like working to impress others without really like I was able to turn the camera around and like look at my life and look at my actions and my responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I always envisioned myself a certain way, and the more as time goes on, I'm constantly a reflector. Like I mean, even from one day to the next, I'll sit and think about every conversation I had, and oh my gosh, how stupid was I when I said that? Oh my gosh, I hope they don't remember that I said that, stuff like that. I've always been like that, but it's never really, it's only slowly started to impact my decision making in a big way. I guess it was really slow. I think like having like self-awareness is really important. Um, but man, I this guy this is this
We've gone down a rabbit hole that's going to be really hard to come back out of.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think this is, I think you should probably save this for another podcast because it's so deep, but it's so important.
Yeah,
It's
I think
important.
ultimately, sorry, I think ultimately if what I feel like I got some really good advice when I was young, and that was and I was an apprentice, and I was told to let the experts be the experts, but stand over their shoulder and ask them questions what they're doing. So the next expert you work with, you know how to talk to them and the lingo. You never tried to do everything yourself. And also, I had a mentor. The Within the first year I was on the floor, he walked in and got a haircut. He thought he loved all my ideas, and he offered to be my mentor. And he said, ask people questions. People ask people for help because people want to help you because everybody had someone help them. So I guess that would be my response to that. And it's not to say that I don't run away in my own beliefs about what I think is reality, because there has been so many points in my life where I've looked back and said, "Oh my gosh, my thought of reality." Like I always thought I was a busy person, and now that we have a real startup where we're like building this platform and we're busy, like I realized I never knew what busy was. And so that means that all of my beliefs back and going back and on hustle culture and work ethic and everything, I need to reimagine them all, you know. So that's
Well,
sorry.
look, I mean, how much of what we thought we knew, I'm not just talking about our industry, I'm talking about general, that we think we know to be true ends up not being true. I mean, because if I could call bullshit on something else, I would call it on our belief systems. That's why, I mean, because we get stuck in what we believe to be so, and a lot of times it's not so. And even if it was thought to be so at the time, a few years from now, we'll look back and like, do you believe that that's what we thought? Was that really? So, I think, and all of this conversation is all what I love. And it's probably, that's why things like serious business for me are just an expression of, and bringing that to other people, because you said it, Robert. I mean, being self-aware and reflective, which is, and I say self-aware and reflective, I don't mean like reflective in a depressing way, a depressed way, because that's what that's what we tend to do as humans. So anyway, it's all kind of complicated, but it's so, all of this is developmental. I mean, you guys both, you're both married, yes?
Yep.
And do you have children?
I have grandchildren. So
Well, me and they, I haven't, but I think that I compare, I'll tell you, somebody you should start following and recommend, Dr. Becky Kennedy. They're calling her the new Dr. Not Seuss. Anyway, she teaches, she talks about parenting, but leading is parenting, and parenting is leading. So having a partner, there's probably two things that are the most developmental for a human being: marriage and parenting. You will get developed, So, I think of our salon owners and leading their staff as it's a parenting role to a great deal.
I'm going to take us back a little bit. Is that, and only because I have an opinion about this, is that what I've realized is that change isn't what's new, right? Like, because change to me is exciting. It's being on cloud nine in a new relationship. Change is exciting. The hard part is always leaving a belief system that you once had. That's always been the hardest part of change, but if you can kind of like recognize that, like, oh, that was an old belief system. As I've gotten older, I'm trying to disconnect with, not disconnect, that's the wrong word. Recognize that this is just a belief system and I don't have to be connected to forever for it. Over the last 2 years, part of my practice is not to be connected to any outcome that I don't either manifest or control. So if try to remove. Now I'm a terrible like friend now because I don't care about sports anymore, which was a big part of my life and stuff. And this is just a byproduct of it. It wasn't intentional to not be like a sports fan or a team fan, I should say, because I'm still a fan of sport. I'm able to like watch sport and recognize, and I kind of see the actors in sport as artists now. Like I kind of see like, but it's not, because I'm not connected to win or loss. I can like, oh, that was an awesome play by, this person who last year would have hated because he was on a different team. Now I'm terrible in that sense. But as talk about mental health, being able to remove any connection to outcome, or certainly I'm trying to do that, has been just absolutely glorious. Certainly
It's liberating not to have expectations,
that of others, right? Like,
or to believe believe to the point where you have a position. And look, isn't that kind of it's kind of where our country and our world is we've got a position about our beliefs.
well, because somebody else benefits from it, and that's why, like, I'm trying to strongly stay disconnected from, other belief systems, and because to be honest, you can't even source your own belief system if you're believing somebody else's, or if you're believing what you've been told, because it's this, general belief system.
What if we think rather than believe?
Um, well, I mean, I think that beliefs, you think as a think. I think that, I mean, we all have to have belief systems because ultimately it's what protects us. It doesn't always serve us, but it's what protects us. And it's just being old enough and understand enough that it's just a belief system, like what, I mean, here, never mind. I'm going to throw it to you, Robbie. Go ahead.
So I'm thinking about how when I was an employee, and I was like, I always had these really strong opinions. And as I started to study business, because I decided to go study business part-time, the more I studied business, the more I changed the way I talked to my bosses. And I thought I understood their perspective until I became a manager. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder all these people are talking to these people this way. It's like aha, eye-opening. It's like, okay, there's like a dilemma between the employees not feeling valued enough and they deserve more, and the managers and owners not feeling appreciated or valued enough. And the trends in business don't help, with like loyalty being at an all-time low. The desire of all the students that we talk to and all the schools we go to, they want to work in a salon for 1 to 3 years at 80%, and only 10% want to stay working in a salon from after 3 years. And so but however, this kind of all ties into like making how you make your decisions, and if you have higher quality decision making process, then perhaps you would have greater success in a salon, and people might not be wanting to leave as much. That's a different, I have a question. I don't want to like be the one that kind of changes the topic, but
We
I
probably need to, though.
I think it's related. I think it's related. Everything. I think it's all related. But like from your vantage point, what are the trends in business and customer behavior? And like, I was looking at the serious business, and like trying to figure out like what the topics were going to be about and stuff. Like, because like I feel like last year was like customer experience was a big piece of it, and that was the big piece. And then the tech side of AI, but like, high customer experiences. Do you see anything else that's bubbling up in the world?
I mean, I think that Gordon is going to be, we've got a couple of people that are going to be speaking and doing breakouts on. I think that the technology and AI and the potential of AI, I think that, but it goes back to you have to be open. And I think that we're going to see, I don't know when or how it's going to affect us, but I do think that, I mean, look how much like podcasting and social media and all that has had an influence. So as far as like a theme, it was a challenge this year, but not. because it was like when I looked around the world and what in our industry and what's being called for. And that's why evolve. We have to continue to evolve. And so the speakers this year, they're going to address their own about their thoughts on evolving, and whether it's, the leadership, evolving your leadership. But for me, it's the theme is more back to, or to reinforce the need for each of us to really have a commitment to work on ourselves. Because I use the Ram Dass has a quote that that kind of inspired me around this theme, is that you can do nothing for me and then work on yourself. And I can do nothing for you but to work on myself.
Just be better members of society, be better members for each other.
I mean,
that has to happen
when
you're better for yourself.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's all. That's awesome. Deborah, how can people find Serious Business, and give us all the details, the dates, and all that?
Okay. Well, I mean, follow us on social media, Serious Business. If you look at that, you'll find our websites, our social media, everything, but, it's January 12th and 13th in New Orleans.
Coming
up. We've got tickets for sale, and I think I've talked a lot about Serious Business, but as far as the details, I would recommend you just go to the website, Serious Business, and follow us on social media. You're going to get everything. You're going to get a lot more details there than you're going to get from me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Robert, how can people find you? How can they find Hairdresser Strong?
You can check us out at hairdresserstrong.com, and our Instagram handle is the Hairdresser Strong Show. And come over, check us out, and we'd love to hear from you. And tune in and subscribe. You can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Same. Look up for us. Look up Hairdresser or Your Day Off podcast. We're on all the podcast outlets there. We're also Hairdresser on Instagram. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for sitting down, and again, thank you for Gordon for kind of like putting this together. I really appreciate it. I love open and honest conversations, and I felt like we kind of did that. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys very.
I appreciate the opportunity, and please, you guys, come and introduce yourself. I mean, let's physically connect at Serious Business. Okay. Cause now we've established we have a relationship.
That is awesome. We will definitely connect. Robert Hughes and Deborah Neill, thank you very, very much for joining us on your day off, and the Hairdresser Strong.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.